May be joining us in a moment. I'm Lee Jenkins. I'm with Walter Verdigo and Karen Gartenig, and we're back with our Think and Grow Rich episodes. This week is based on the chapter on decision. I think we're missing Eric because he wasn't feeling well. He wasn't feeling well yesterday, and I'm assuming he's still the same today. And Eric Keys, if you're listening, we miss you, sir. Hopefully you'll be feeling better. So decisions. We've had lots of conversations about decisions. In fact, we've been talking about decisions before we came live. Tell me, you got some experiences that where you personally maybe made a decision that you knew was the right one, and things like that. Anything happened in your world that, like I know you, Walter, you made a decision at one point to leave.
Yeah, definitely. In fact, for the longest time, it was the non-decision, just going with the fear. But yeah, I always wanted to have my own business, for decades. But I always never did because of the security. I say it in air quotes, security, because the reality is there's no security. In fact, if you're working for someone else, you'll be the last one to know if they have to lay people off. At least if it's your own business, you'll be well aware it's coming and you can actually plan for it. Whereas if it's, you're working for somebody else, you're obviously not going to tell you, hey, get prepared next month. No, you find out the Black Monday or whatever with everyone else when they cut 10 or 20% of the workforce or whatever. But I was always afraid of that. And just happened, it happened to me. I actually got laid off. The Toronto office just closed where I was working, and I was a manager, and that was the impetus for me to say, now's the time. Now there's no excuse. I want to start my own company. Actually, I got hired again as a director, and actually, I told you that story. I at the time I was itching to start my own company right when I got laid off, and then they offered me a pretty good position. And once again, I said, oh, security, security. And when I started that position, I went in for about 6 months, a great paying job and all of that. And then I started my other company on the side. It started picking up, and the customer said, hey, I want to give you 6 months of work, full-time work, but you can't do this part-time thing. And so I had a great job, great pay. I was, getting rave reviews for what I was doing and all of that. But I said, no, I'll just take the leap of faith. I always wanted to do this. I put it off long enough, and I just did it. Started up the company. And funny enough, within, I think it was not even 6 months, they did a house cleaning of where I was at and all of that. So that was definitely a scary decision. I only had 6 months of work when I started, but I loved what I was doing, still love what I'm doing, and things just happen. It's just amazing how that works. It's just one thing lines up to another, lines up to another. When you're kind of in that high level of vibration and making decisions with confidence, with faith, let's just say, it happens every single time you talk to any entrepreneur.
The one thing you just said too was courage, and that's something that Napoleon Hill actually talks about. It's like on the third page, and he talks about freedom or death on a decision. The value of decision depends upon the courage required to render them. And that's basically what you're saying, is you had to have the courage to do it.
Yeah.
It's a lot of great stuff in this chapter. I know we were joking around last week that it wasn't necessarily our favorite chapter, but although again, it's a great chapter, and I highly recommend people do read that chapter. But this is a good chapter, and it's really, I think it's, when you're talking about making a decision, it's not easy, but it must be done. And, I know that, I know he says it here, I'll probably read some of it, but, the first thing that I learned a long time ago was that your first thought is usually the correct one. And it's the second thought that's your subconscious mind causing you to focus on all the reasons why that maybe is a bad decision. Or maybe I should be focusing on this and decide to do that instead of doing this. And that's what most people do. And that's why most people aren't living the lives they want to. They are looking at their current situation, and they make a decision based on the current situation rather than what their burning desire is, as Napoleon Hill would say. we talked right in very chapter one on desire. Like, what's the desire? Like, in your own business, now you have one. Karin has a desire to be coaching people and coaching people around the world and things like that, and she's doing it. I did the same thing. I went from bus driving, real estate, mortgage brokering, all seemed like good decisions at the time, but my burning desire is to do what I'm doing. So it wasn't until I made this decision did I make the right decision. Was it always been the best thinking in my mind? Did I look back and think, oh geez, I wish I hadn't made that decision? Sometimes, yeah. And that's where the courage comes into play, doesn't it? You got to have the courage to just make the decision that's going to take you where you want to go, not where you think it's going to fix something right today.
Right.
Because if you're doing it that way, guess what? You're going to be stuck there for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
You could be very easy went and got another job, Walter, and guess what? You'd probably still be doing it.
Yeah.
Because that would have been the wrong decision.
And that's a good point. When you're deciding, you are essentially like creating. It's you. It's an outbound energy. You're coming up. You're making a decision. You're doing what's passionate. When those other things creep in, so when you say, your burning desire, you're going to initially feel excited about it because obviously it's your burning desire is what you're excited about. Then your subconscious will get involved and start saying, well, how does that measure up to your current paradigm, your current beliefs? And of course, it'll be different because it's something brand new, much bigger, and it's going to be scared. And so I think the only difference is to understand you're going to feel fear. If 100% you're going to feel fear, and that's natural. It's not something to be, funny enough, afraid of. You're going to feel that. So taking that leap of faith is just part of the process, like believing in the process, and just going for it. You are going to, that when you're remembering, hearing those thoughts and remembering whatever past, whatever you're remembering from your past that's holding you back, that's all input. That's coming in. So anytime something's coming in, that's not you. That's your memory system. That's your paradigm system. That's your, fight or flight response. That's not you. So as long as we keep, focused on that, we are not the thoughts that are coming in. We are the decisions we make. That's what's going to.
He says here, it's like the third chapter or third paragraph down. It says analysis of several hundred people who had accumulated fortunes well beyond the $1 million mark. And again, keep in mind, this is back in 1937. Millionaires back in 1937 are billionaires today.
Right.
So analysis of several hundred people who had accumulated fortunes well beyond the $1 million mark disclosed the fact that every one of them had the habit of reaching decisions promptly and of changing these decisions slowly if and when they were changed at all. People who fail to accumulate changing these decisions slowly and if and when they were changed at all. So people who fail to accumulate money without exception have the habit of reaching decisions, if at all, very slowly and of changing these decisions quickly and often. Like you think about that's, think of people like every time you talk to them, they decide to do something else.
Analysis paralysis, yeah.
So they just keep, okay, well, I think I'm going to do this week. And then, you talk, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. Talking 2 weeks later, well, I'm going to do this instead. Because they're constantly focusing on something outside of where they actually want to go. Like, decisions are really, it's a behavior, right? And, behavior is based on, a lot of cases, the desire. Like, what do you want, right? And then, so I already mentioned, I think that, that's chapter 1 in the book is desire. And, we really truly have to define what it is that we want and make decisions on what we want, not on what's going on today. Because you know what, tomorrow is going to be another day and you're going to be going, geez, I wish I had made that decision yesterday. Because, you can make a decision like, yourself, Walter, where you could have taken another job. Well, that probably would have been the worst decision you ever made. At the time, it might have been very scary. Like you did say, it took courage to make that decision. But probably had you not made that decision, you would be regretting it for the rest of your life because you're living a pretty good life because of that decision.
Absolutely, yes.
Or you could be working for somebody. You decide, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It always goes back to, sort of staying in that things will come to you when you're in a high vibration. There's no way you can get to a positive state in a negative vibration. When you're afraid, you're in a negative vibration. There's no way a positive thing can come out of a negative vibration. The same thing when you're in a positive state. It's almost impossible to go into a negative. You can't think negatively when you're with a bunch of positive people. That's a law, law of attraction, law of vibration, all those things.
What do you think, Karen? You're gonna share some of your incredible wisdom with us? You always have something great to say.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. So I can tell my story. I think I've told my story in a few calls before, but
Well, we might have some new people listening in that don't know it, so feel free.
so about 10 years ago, when I made the decision to change my life completely, and yeah, when I left my husband and I moved with my 3 kids to a new place, and I was, you know, that was really the start in my new life. And but there was no doubt, not 1 second. The decision is a feeling state. The decision is like you said, the burning desire. If you burn for something, then you go for it, and nothing and nobody can hold you back. And I had so many people around me. They told me how will you gonna do that, and that can't work out, and how do you think that's gonna work out? And I said, I don't know how, but I want to do it, and I feel it's the right decision. This is something that's not coming from the mind. That's something that comes out from the this is in your heart and in your body. That comes from inside, and nobody can touch it. So there was so much confidence, and I was so sure that it's going to work out. And yeah, it was the best decision of my life. And that's what I say to my clients all the time. If it's not a hell yes, then it's a no.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to burn for it, and then you go for it, and nothing and nobody can hold you back. And this is the high vibration. Yes, you have to be on a high vibration constantly, consistently. Of course, everybody, we all have days where the vibration is not so high as she should be, but we know how we come back on this high vibration. Yeah. We know where we have to put the focus on to come back on this high vibration. And this is a big difference, because if you vibrate high and then you meet someone and they tell you, oh, that's not gonna work out, and how do you want to do that, and I heard so many failed, then so many people fall down on this low vibration, and then they're stuck again. And this is a big difference. But I always say, when you make the right decision, nothing and nobody can bring you back on this low level.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's true.
Keep moving.
Go.
It's interesting what you just said there. It said, like, I'm just looking at some of the notes I have here, and one part I highlight was, if you influenced by the opinions of others, you will have no desire of your own.
Yeah.
And that's what people do, is they ask people, what do you think? Well, one of the things I learned a long time ago, I remember somebody said that in front of Bob Proctor one day, and he goes, you got to realize that most people don't think, so why would you ask them what they think? You're thinking like 98% of the population goes through the day and never actually have an original thought. They're simply reacting to the world based on how they were conditioned to see it. So why would you ask them their opinion?
Yeah, exactly.
They don't have one.
Yeah.
Right? They're bound to give you one, but theirs is based on their conditioning, how they see the world. Like, you were to tell somebody that, works for a living, where they go to a 9-to-5 job every day, 5 days a week, and you ask them if you think it's a good idea for you to quit your job and go start your own business, they're going to go, what are you, nuts? Are you crazy? Why would you want to give up all that security?
Exactly.
When the reality is that person's probably not happy. They may have a nice house and a car, but they just existing.
And that was exactly, in my case, 10 years ago. I talked to nobody, only to my friends I had here on this new place. But I didn't talk to my brother, my parents, No, I didn't talk about that. That was my decision and that was my secret. And then when I had the new house, when I had the place in school for my kids, and then when everything was fixed, I told them I'm gonna leave. Oh hell, what are you doing? How can you do that? But it didn't trigger me. And that was so
Good decision,
interesting.
right?
Yeah, that was absolutely the right decision. And it was the best decision in
And
my
like
life.
you were just talking about with Walter too, it takes courage, doesn't it? Like that took a lot of courage to pack up your family and move out. Like that's a lot of courage. So, as you go forward in life, anybody's listening, or even us, it's going to take courage, but you know what? It's worth it. Like I would never go back to where I was. I
No,
can't.
Yeah, I don't think you
me
can. We were
too.
talking about that earlier. I don't think you can. Like so the whole point, it's funny because it goes full circle. When we start sort of on this journey, it's like we're like the subconscious drifter. So our paradigm gets programmed through what we see. We're basically the product of your environment, whatever you're brought up with, your parents taught you, whatever. It's like we're on autopilot. It's whatever we see over and over and over, repeated, high emotion, whatever. That's what we are. And we don't put a lot of thought in it. We are just our reactions. Whatever our paradigm, spits up, that's who we are. That's what we believe when we start.
Yeah.
Then when you
False self.
kind of go down the journey, you become self-aware, and self-aware means, oh, I'm not that paradigm. Paradigm is actually programmed through repetition. So now when you're conscious, and you're consciously focusing, like Karen did, on where she's going, who she's going to be, what she's going to accomplish, that becomes a habit. And then that gets forced into our paradigm. Now your paradigm isn't on autopilot. Now it's programmed by us. We're in control of our own paradigm. And funny enough, by the time you get used to it, you're on autopilot, but because you've programmed your paradigm to positive ways of thinking and being positive, then the first reactions start being positive. And it just kind of rolls along, right? You get used to being positive, it gets programmed to be positive, and that's how you generally are. It's not to say when a new circumstance come up, your survival instinct kicks in and says, "Oh, watch out for this. How are you going to do that?" But that's fine. We understand that's not us, you know. And it's as soon as you realize that, it's
Well,
like
you
you
refer
can't
to
go
it
back.
didn't you refer to it in your book about lizard brain or something? Is that how you?
Lizard brain, yeah, yeah. It's yeah, basically the lizard brain is the oldest part of our brain. It came down from our earliest ancestors, our lizards, or when we were lizards and evolving. It's our fight or flight, right? Everything is a risk, and that's how we've survived all these,
That's how people make decisions, isn't it?
Absolutely. That's our
They
first
fight or flight.
reaction.
Like we all like love animals, cats and dogs, and in Karen's case, horses. They're more likely to run in an instant than to
They'll
stick
run.
around and decide, maybe I should stick around. Maybe this person isn't going to hurt me. Maybe this animal isn't going to bite me. Right?
Right.
No, they just run.
Yeah.
Right? And that's what we do. We go and we decide to go and take a job we don't need when we're and lose everything that we're working for.
Yep.
Right? When the reality is success is always just around the corner if you make a decision. You have to decide to win. Just reading some more of the stuff here. It said Napoleon Hill says the majority, I think the majority of people who fail to accumulate money sufficient for their needs are generally easily influenced by the opinions of others. They permit the newspapers and the gossiping neighbors to do their thinking for them. And that goes back to what I was just saying. Like, majority of people don't think.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the thing about the news, like I was just thinking about the other, actually earlier today, it was there's a US election coming up, and like you're in the United States, you're either a Democrat or a Republican. Well, people don't actually think. They just go to the polls and they vote how they've been conditioned to vote. Like if you're a Democrat, you vote Democrat. If you're a Republican, you vote Republican. That's why it's 50-50. And the only time you ever see a difference is right now, because this is what they refer to as the midterm elections. We don't have any Americans here. Eric's missing. Can't confirm this. 2 Canadians and an Austrian. So I don't even know why we're talking about. But anyways, a good example. Right now it's a midterm. So if somebody is like, they're not going to change, they're either Republican or Democrat. But if you're not happy with the way things are going and it's your guy, well, then maybe you just don't vote. It doesn't let you go and vote for the other guy. You just don't vote.
That's true.
Right?
It's all based on conditioning. Marketing is all based on that.
Right. Exactly. Right. So, they're causing us to make a decision that we, and even make it so that it sounds like we're, they're doing us a favor, when the reality is they're really only doing themselves favors. Even the marketing is all about selling something, right? So they're helping you make a decision. Somebody named Barbara is saying hello to you, I believe, Karin, because it's all in German and I can't read it. So anyways, it's all about decision. So, I always like that quote. I said it the other day too. 2% think, 3% think they think, and 95% would rather die than think. Like, that's the reality.
Yeah, that's so true.
You're not going to find a lot of people that are thinking. So, when you want to make a decision, do you really want to ask someone else what you should be doing? Or maybe you just sit back, close your eyes, meditate, and let the universe tell you what your decision should be.
Yeah,
Right?
or like, it's a great point. Everyone is going to have an opinion. It's the freest currency. Everyone has an opinion, and everyone has their own ego and their own paradigm, and they're going to try and keep you safe, right? So your family has a paradigm of who you are, and they just see how you were. So the second you say, "Hey, I'm going to try this new thing," they're going to say, "Whoa, whoa, whoa, slow down there." You know what I mean? Like, let's just take it easy, and they're just behaving on autopilot the same as anyone else, right? But if you are going to take advice, the currency, the value of it is how successful that person is in that area of your life, right? So if you're going to open up a new company and it's whatever, I don't know, a shoe company or something, then talk to someone who has a successful shoe company.
Sure.
Don't talk to, your cousin that's, out of work or unemployed or whatever. They'll all give you opinions. But the value of it is how successful they are. And successful people will always encourage you. You'll see that, right?
Yeah.
They'll never say, "Oh, that's crazy." You say, "No, that's great. Here's some steps. Here's what I did. Here's what maybe you can do," whatever.
Back
Right?
to like opinions, like you're talking about there. He says opinions are the cheapest commodities on earth. Everyone has a flock of opinions ready to be wished upon anyone who will accept them. If you are influenced by opinions when you reach decisions, you will not succeed in any undertaking. You will not succeed in any undertaking, he says. Much less in that of transmuting your own desire into money. So like you're saying, you don't ask people that have never done what you're talking about. Like, in fact, I don't know that you really, unless you really have a good group of people, which he does go on to talk about here, is, he talks about, take no one into your confidence except the members of your own mastermind group.
Mastermind, exactly.
Like, we all can sit around and have these conversations and help give each other some really great advice, because we really truly want you to win. Like, I certainly want every one of us to win, and we can win. But you got to realize that most of the people you're talking to, they'll say, "Oh, congratulate. Oh, that's a good idea," but they don't want you to win, because now they're going to have to look at themselves and say, "Hey, maybe I need to do something. Maybe I need to make some decisions." And you know what?
Yeah,
Not
most of the people even don't know what we are doing here. So that's the first step.
So, I was just going to mention too that, when they're talking about mastermind group, it goes on to make, it says that be very sure of your selection of this group, that you choose only those who will be in complete sympathy and harmony with your purpose. Right. And that goes on, even like yesterday, we have the Elevate Roundtable, which is basically a mastermind group. And anybody that wants to join us certainly can. It's free. And you just have to register. So you can go to like myelevatenetwork.com, and there's a link there that talks about the roundtable. Just click on it, register information you need to join us. So if somebody's looking for a mastermind group where we generally are going to give you advice to help you go to whatever next level you're looking for, that would be a good thing for people to join us, I would believe. You agree? You guys are all on the roundtable, so I would imagine you agree.
Yeah, I've been, my first mastermind was at you, Lee, like, I don't know, 10 years ago, whatever we first met. But I've had two others. The latest mastermind, was with a bunch of really good guys. We were probably lasted 3, maybe 4, actually maybe 4 years, almost 5. And it was through that I actually got the inspiration to write the book. We bounced ideas around, the concepts and all of that. And then finally we did a talk and I had to organize it. And then they finally said, well, just write a book. You need to write a book and write. So that's what prompted me to do it. You're with people that are positive, high energy, and encouraging. And so you say, this is what I'm trying to do. Hey guys, what's your advice? What can you connect me with somebody? And they'll say, yeah, I know this guy who knows this person, or go here, try that.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It really is.
What's your experience with masterminds, Karin? Is what we're doing kind of the first time you're doing that kind of stuff? I'm not sure.
Yeah, actually, yes. Yeah, mastermind group. I know how important it is to have the right people around you, and you should talk to people. They lift you up, and they know what you're doing, and they encourage you to grow and to go for what you love. But my experience is that most of the people, they don't understand what I'm doing. So this is the biggest job in my job, to tell the people what's happening, what can happen, and what are they able to change. And yeah, it's so important to have the right people around you. Yeah, also a mentor, a mastermind group. This is altogether for me, this has the highest priority ever, because yeah, we talked about our blind dots we have, and it's really great to get the inputs and the impulses from the friends here from our mastermind group, and to see what happens when you talk 1 hour about a specific topic, what happens. And this is like we seed all the little corns, and what's growing. If we meet 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks later, you can see what happened, how everyone changes and expands and elevates.
Yeah. I know, even just like what we're doing, the group, like, it's growing. We got more and more people coming on board all the time, but it's fascinating just to watch. Like, everybody is growing, everybody's vibration is lifting. And what's interesting too is everybody has some success stories that are all fairly new since we started doing all this. Like even Eric's got, obviously he's not here today, but he's got a real estate course that he does in Georgia where he teaches people to become real estate agents. And every time he turns around, he's got new clients. Like, it's going faster and faster all the time because he's in a different vibration. I've got some clients just recently too. And, I know Karin's got some new clients, and I'm sure Walter's got all kinds of wonderful things happening at the same time. And it's about raising our vibration. And all of that has to do with making decisions. Now, you guys, you made decisions to come and do this. You made decisions to be part of the Elevate Network. You've been decisions to have programs on there. You made decisions to come on and do the roundtable that we're doing. And then you made decisions in your own personal world. So that's the key, is making the right decisions. But you got to make, I think it's really important that people understand that it's that first thought is the one you need to make a decision on. Because the second thought is your conditioning is going to cause you to focus on everything but going in the direction that you want. Yeah. And it goes back to, having that burning desire. You got to have a picture in your mind of where it is you want to end up. What do you want to go? What do you want your life to look like? So your decisions need to be towards taking you there. He talks about all kinds of different people, like it's, Ford and all these people, that they made decisions that, a lot of people told them they were crazy, but they didn't leave it. They stuck with it. I know he was even talking about how a lot of people told Ford to change the styling of the Model T because it was an ugly car. But he decided not to. And it was an incredibly successful selling car. Right? He did eventually change it, but he didn't decide to change it just because everybody else told him he should. He stuck with it, and it worked. Even when he wanted, I think it was the V8 he was trying to build, where they told him it was impossible to build, and he said, "No, I want it. Just keep doing it." And They kept saying, no, it's not possible. It's impossible. You can't possibly do that. You can't have, all these different, pistons going up and down at the same time. It's going to explode. But yet we're using it. There's even V12 engines out there now. Like it's still, I don't know if it's still, probably like Jaguar used to have a V12, and a bunch of different cars had V12s. Like it's, and it was insane to have a V8, but yet now there's V12s. Like it's, right. It's crazy. But these are people who made decisions. Like, you look at, some of the really, like Steve Jobs with the things he did with iPhones and all this kind of stuff. He made a decision that I think a lot of people probably say, oh, nobody's going to do that. Nobody's going to want to just be, playing with their finger on their phone. They want to be able to dial it. And, where's the thing they put up to their head? Like, it's where's the cable going to be? Like, it's, all this kind of stuff. Like, but they made a decision, I'm going to do it, and they figured it out.
Same with the iPad, I'm still a techno geek. I have every imaginable. I'm like a bleeding edge dude. As any new thing, I get it for sure. But when I always get a new something new, I hand it down to my family. So my wife Susie wasn't a technophile at all. But when I got the new iPad, I said, "Hey, honey, why don't you just try this?" She goes, "Oh, what do you need this for? This is just basically like nobody could get it." And everybody was saying that they don't get what an iPad, Then when she started using it, she got the convenience of it and the ease of use of it and all of that. She can't put it down now. It's just kind of part of our day to day now. That whole iPad, they sold more than whatever when they first came out. Oh, that thing will never take off. That's crazy. Yeah.
I actually use I have an older iPad that I still use as a teleprompter.
Oh, they're great. It's
great for so many. There's an app on my phone and on the iPad, and I got this whole thing that you put the iPad in and you look at it and you can see it on the glass, and the camera's behind the glass, and it's the iPad that I'm actually using as a teleprompter.
Yeah. No, I know. I know that actually. Yeah, I think it's called teleprompter. The app.
That's only one reason to use it. There's so many other reasons to use it.
Oh yeah, it's amazing. And yeah, that's a good point, right? Before we used to think life happens to us, but the reality is life is reacting to us. We're getting what we're putting out. We just never realized that we were focusing on the negative things. Even just being okay, you know what I mean? Like feeling okay is fine. I mean, okay is better than feeling miserable, that's for sure. I mean, it's definitely a step up, but okay isn't why we're here. Anyone listening, you're here to unleash your potential, the same as all of us. And that means feeling excited, getting up in the morning and feeling excited about your life, about your health, about who you're with and your family. And that's what life's about. And we're creating whether we're conscious of it or not. So better to be conscious, making decisions based on what we're passionate about. Because, for something to come to fruition, it's just a certain amount of activity that has to happen, a certain amount of energy has to accumulate for something to come to fruition, whether it's a new job, a new company, something being rated, if you're going to get a car, or whatever it is. A certain amount of actions need to happen. And that only happens when you are achieving, when you're doing things, making decisions, taking the next step. That puts a little bit, but it's almost like a Lego block, right? You have to build a house. And each action is a little Lego block. And as soon as you put all the actions together, boom, the thing will, come to fruition, right?
And that's exactly the time when the feeling comes in. So I know it from myself and I know it from my clients. When my clients say, okay, I make the decision, I want to make this. For example, I have a lot of young ladies, they lost a lot of weight. So they make the decision, but first, and I think there are many, many people out there, they say, okay, I make the decision, but I can't feel it, because my clients know how important it is to feel it. And this is when Bob Proctor always comes in my mind. I remember him so many times when he said, do you know that I believe everything from the first moment on? I have to train my brain. And that's when the creative visualization comes in, to train the brain, to train the body to feel it. And that's what we are doing in the time before we make the decision, because you get an impulse and then the vibration rises.
Yes.
Yeah, it gets higher and higher and higher.
And it goes kind of goes back to that burning desire again. You have to get emotionally involved with what it is you want. And then you make the right decisions. You know, if you have a passion for something, you're not going to decide to go do something else. You're going to make a decision that's going to take you closer to that burning desire that you have, right?
Yeah.
Something that's interesting in here too is, you know, he talks about to tell the world what you intend to do, but first show it. Like, don't talk about it. Go do it, right? This is the equivalent of saying that deeds and not words are what count the most.
Yeah.
That's, people say, well, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. Well, just make a decision and go do it, and then show the world you did it.
Yeah.
Freedom or death on the decision is the highlight here. And again, we talked about this, about having courage, and the value of decision depends upon the courage required to render them. Right? The great decisions which served as the foundation of civilization were reached by assuming great risks, which often meant the possibility of death. Now, nobody's suggesting that you should risk your life, but it can feel like that, though. Right? Because, you know, if you're making a decision to go in a whole completely different direction, like Karen made a decision to pack her family up 10 years ago, that could feel like you're risking your life.
Yeah.
The same thing with you, Walter, when you made a decision to leave a job and go and pursue what you're doing now on your own. You know, it could have been, had you been in a different mindset, it could have been a disaster.
Yep. Yeah.
But you had the courage to do it. You took the risk. You have to have that faith, right? Which again is another chapter in this book. Like, we keep talking about how great this book is. It's a fantastic book. Highly recommend people study it. Or just you can listen to us. I think you need to study it and listen to us. Right?
Yeah, I mean, staying in that positive vibration, making confident decisions. It is definitely a repetition. You need to consciously focus on what you're trying to achieve, feel the energy, be passionate about it. The more you do that, the more you program yourself, your subconscious. Your subconscious then becomes your greatest ally instead of your worst enemy. I mean, you say, you can kill yourself. You can kill yourself. You can make yourself a living hell if you just go on your survival instinct. It's just like almost a paranoia, because it's always looking at what the risk is, what the risk is, what the risk is. Nothing's safer than being alone, doing what you're comfortable with in a nice, safe environment. But if
Walter,
everything is a risk, sorry, go ahead.
Please say this statement again.
Which one?
Your statement. The old self has to die.
Yeah, that's true. We're always being reborn, right? I mean, everybody says, "Oh, I've reborn." Yeah. No, you're reborn. Every time you make a decision to grow, the old you dies. That old you has to die. And so sometimes you have to go through some, what seems like turmoil. Like so Karen, I know exactly what you're talking about, because back when I was 40, I'm like 50, almost 55 now, but that was my journey when I hit my
look a day over 40.
Yeah.
Especially with your new haircut.
Yeah, my wife left, right? And I was with my kids, living with my mom, and all of that. All of that seemed horrible at the time, right? But I just knew, I believed in myself and who I was as a father, as a son, as a new, entrepreneur, and all of that. And people were kind of amazed. They're like, "How the hell did you, how did you get through all of that?" I just had the belief, yeah, not just in myself, but just in the process. I just knew this wasn't happening to destroy me. I had this idea of, who I'd like to have as a partner, who I would like to have as my career, as my own company. Well, how in the world could you have started your own company if you're working for another company? Well, you got laid off. Well, how could you be with, I mean, my ex-wife realized that we weren't good together. I would never make that decision myself, so God bless her, you know what I mean? I couldn't be with who I am now. I got remarried since. And she's wonderful. Seems horrible at the time, but your old you was dying. The old relationship needs to die. The old job needs to die for the new to take form. So it's not nothing to be afraid of. Um, Again, it doesn't happen to destroy you. It doesn't happen to you. It happens for you. It's,
Through
you
you.
adjust. Yeah.
Yeah, and that requires courage again to embody the new you.
Yeah.
That requires a lot of courage. Well, so how do you go in your new life? How do you act? How do you think? How do you talk? That's an important thing. So with this embodiment, you can raise your vibration also.
Yeah. And regularly affirm, focus on the goals. Keep seeing every time you catch yourself being negative. Let that, it's your choice to allow your awareness to sit on that negative thought. It's your choice. We can choose to ignore it and just go with it, right? And our brain's very creative, and the crazy worst case scenarios that it comes up with is amazing. But you early on, if you catch it, just let it go. The same way that you're watching someone walk down the street. You're not focusing your awareness, or maybe you are, I don't know, but most things you just see and let go. And if that thought comes in and it doesn't, service you, if it doesn't help you, let the thought go. The only things that you should be focused on what keeps you vibrant, excited, keeps you moving forward. You get in that habit, and it happens faster than people think. I think it's this long drawn, takes years. It doesn't take years. It's like I said, as soon as you become sort of self-aware, it's almost impossible to go back, because you catch yourself being negative and you go, oh yeah, that's just my ego, or it's just my lizard brain, it's just my fight or flight response. Fine, I'm gonna let that go. It doesn't serve me anymore. That's not me anymore.
Just think it's like you get people that maybe they have a career that they kind of like, or maybe it's a job that but they've got mortgage payments, or they're paying rent, or they got car payments, they've got children, and to make a decision just to leave that, well, now you're affecting a lot of people, and that can be really scary. And it may be too scary. Like, especially, I know if I had children and I had to worry about making sure that they had a roof over their head and things like that, I probably wouldn't decide to go start my own business right that moment. I would have to take some time to think about it, but I could decide that I'm going to work towards starting my own business.
Yeah,
And
exactly right.
the other thing too is, a person that, maybe, I talked about bus driving and working at Ford and things like that, people that spend 30 years there. But I know people that made decisions to do things outside of work. They would sometimes work overtime on the weekends, make some extra money, and then use that to actually build a better life than what they would have if they just simply went to work every day. So again, that was a decision they made, and a good one. I know there was a guy that was a bus driver that he had a bunch of properties that he bought. He was always working. Every time he got to the bus depot, he was there, getting ready to go on another run somewhere. But yet, anytime he had a break, he was taking all this extra money and he was going and he was buying real estate. Like he had, I don't know, this is a long time ago now. I remember back then, I think he had like 10 properties and they were all rented out. And so anytime he wasn't actually driving a bus, he was doing maintenance on these properties or looking at other properties, doing stuff. And so he was making a decision, but using something that maybe was holding him back in some ways, but it wasn't really.
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, and again, not to think that if you have a 9 to 5 job, it's the worst thing in the world. No, listen, if you love what you do what you love. To get financially independent isn't the job you're doing. It's investing, doing smart things. Actually, to your point, Lee, I was the first accountant that I worked with, told me a story about one of the richest clients he ever had was a guy that just worked as a janitor at night. Uh, and they were shocked, like he was just not particularly too smart, or just a normal guy. He loved what he did and all of that. He would take extra money, or set aside money, and this is the key. Anyone listening is to save smartly. So he would take a set amount of money every pay and invest in blue chip companies. Nothing exciting, banks, the TD Bank, all the various banks and all the utilities and all of that. Just like clockwork, through the ups, through the downs, through recessions, through depression, through just cost dollar averaging every single pay, the guy would sock it away. He moved into an okay house, not a crazy house. He just lived very modestly to his means and all that. Well, when he passed away, the guy was worth like something almost $20 million. And his family was like, what the hell? They had no clue that, because through all those years, I mean, the guy was an early investor in like GE and all of these huge, companies. And yeah, by the time he retired, he was worth 20. He gave 10 million to charity. He gave a couple of million to each of his kids. And he was a janitor. He loved doing that work. But he was just smart, and his side gig
made some good
made him
decisions.
$20 million. So
Right.
there you go.
That's the thing. Like, again, we're talking about, leaving a job, going into business for ourselves. That's great if that's your desire.
Right, exactly right.
But you may not want that. Like this guy, he had a burning desire, had nothing to do with leaving his job.
No, he enjoyed what he's doing.
He made the right decisions, right? He made the right decisions, and he obtained his burning desire. He made it happen, right?
Just do what you love. Yeah, do what you love.
Right. And I think what we're trying to help people understand here is that your decisions should be based on what's going to make you happy, not because you must do something. You get people all the time that, I could use some extra money, so I'm going to go do this. I'm going to go work at this and take your mind off of what you could be doing. And then again, that goes back to the burning desire. What do you want? Because, people will go and spend time trading their time for money, like we've talked about, and forget about their burning desire, because their subconscious has caused them to focus on survival. Your lizard brain is kicking in, like you're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. It's based on survival. No, I have bills to pay. When the reality is, if you just pursued your burning desire, you probably wouldn't ever have to worry about money ever again. Yeah. It needs to be a decision that's going to take you to a place where it's not work anymore. I'm not going to my job. I'm living my passion.
Yeah.
That's the decision. And if you do that, this universe is going to guide you. We've been talking about it all the way along. This universe will guide you in the right path. In fact, it will put those opportunities right in front of you. Yeah. But you have to decide to pursue it. And that's where people make the mistake. They don't. They get focused on what's wrong. Oh, this is happening. Oh, this is happening. Oh, I better make a decision to fix that. When the reality is, if you just kept following what you want, what your burning desire is, you're never going to have to worry about any of it. It's just going to show up.
Your vibration
fall into place.
Right? Your vibration stays high, and that's the key. I mean, even if you think, oh, this foofy doofy vibration, that's all crap. Okay, fine. So believe that's okay. But think of it this way: if you're in a positive state, focusing on something you're passionate about, your brain, if you ask the right questions, your brain is an amazing machine. Maybe let's say you want to open your own business. If you have that as a burning desire, now your brain's going to be open. First of all, you're going to be in a positive state. People will see that and will be attracted to you. They want to talk to people that are positive. Nobody wants to talk to somebody who's miserable, or being negative all the time. You want to talk to positive people, so you'll attract those kinds of people. Also, your brain will be open, whereas before, if you didn't have a focus of opening your own business, if that's what you want, there would be maybe a course on the radio that you would ignore. But now you're open to it, and you go, oh yeah, that triggers something. Or maybe a book that you would have completely not even thought of reading now catches your eye. That's, you're just in a positive state, you're in a positive way of being, and that just automatically moves.
What you just said about, you could be hearing something about a course.
Yeah.
Well, the right decision would be, if it's a course that's going to take you where you want to go, like it's going to give you that specialized knowledge that we've been talking about, of the things that are going to help you, get where you want to go, then the decision would be, I need to take this course.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yet in your subconscious mind, that conditioning is going to say, but that's a lot of money and I can't really afford it right now. Maybe I should wait. Mm-hmm. And guess what? You never do it. Yeah. And therefore you never move forward. And again, that's a bad decision. Mm-hmm. If it's absolutely something that's going to, ruin your life because you're spending money that you just plain don't have, well, then that would be a decision to make that you don't do it yet. but you should still always make that decision. I'm going to do this.
Absolutely.
And, you're going to find it when you make the decision, the how shows up. And that's the part people usually miss out on. They get so caught up in I don't know how, I don't know where it's all going to happen. I don't know where the money's going to come from. Stop worrying about it. Just make a decision you're going to do it. Maybe it's not today that you actually start, but if you make a decision, you will end up starting. It will happen eventually.
Yes, life is reacting to you. If all you're focusing on is how am I going to pay my bills? Well, guess what? That's all that's going to happen. Is there's things happen that you won't know how to pay your bills.
And your whole life worrying about how do I pay my bills?
Yeah, life becomes quite difficult when you're in that. When you're the slave of your survival instinct, life is difficult, and it's funny when you kind of just not that you don't care, but you just trust in the process, and you're doing what you're passionate about. It's amazing how things just fall into place. It's amazing. Like every time it happens, I get freaked out. And you talk to anybody, it just happens in some bizarrely coincidental way. And it happens again and again and again. When you get to that, achieving or getting that thing that you're passionately desired about, the path that you take when you look back will be in some way that you had no clue that it would, there's no way you could have mapped it out. I guarantee you. It's amazing. And life just becomes easier.
I just made a decision that I want to hear Karin's Austrian accent.
Walter, you said
I made a decision and it happened. Right?
You said that everybody has to trust in the process, and that people can trust in the process. They have to believe in it, to believe in the law, in the laws of the universe. I don't want to say the law of attraction because we have many, many more laws. But without the faith, you can't trust in the process. And for me, it's important that we tell the people it's not all about starting a new business.
No.
I think the burning desire in the first place should be that everyone is happy. Because if everyone is happy, then you are in a good vibration, and then you get the impulses, what you love to do, no matter what it is. If you want to collect something, if you want to invest in some companies, or if you want to buy some houses or whatever the people want to do. But I think on the first, the place should be the burning desire to be happy, because that's what humankind wants. That's what every one of us is reaching for. Success, money, loving relationships, all this stuff we want to have because we think we feel better. And then when we have it, we are happy and we are feeling good. But the clue is, if we are happy and we are feeling good, everything is falling into place.
Yeah.
Then the money shows up anyways, and then the car shows up anyways, and then you live in a wonderful house and on a beautiful place, and then you have a job you love.
It's a great, perfect point. It's happiness is a choice, it's not a destination, right? Our ego makes us think, oh, when I have this spouse, and they start nagging me, when I have this job, when I have this car, when I have this house. It's not external. It's the exact opposite. Life reacts to you. So we're perfect exactly the way we are. We're the perfect, of all the inputs that we've taken. This is who we are. We are the exact. It's perfect. The universe is in perfect balance. All the things that we've decided up to this point is got us to where we are right now. We are perfect, and you have the opportunity to unleash your potential. You have unlimited potential. So be positive, setting those goals and all that kind of just gives you the spice of life to get up in the morning. It gets you able to focus your energies on what you love and what you're passionate about. That's the importance of the goal, not achieving the goal. It's the journey. It's getting us up in the morning and saying, I'm going to do this. I'm going to talk to that person. I'm excited. That's what it's about,
So
and that advice I want to give to all the people, they join us. When you wake up tomorrow in the morning, then tell yourself, the first thing you say to yourself is, today I'm gonna be happy, just happy. That's my decision for today. You
Make
make
a
the
decision to be happy.
decision. Yeah, exactly. And then show what happens. What people do you meet? What conversations do you have all the day long? Yeah, what synchronicities shows up?
I think a good decision too would be to go back and start working on that burning desire. 'Cause a lot of people don't do that. They say, yes, I want this, I want that, but they don't really. You got to really have something to work for. And then you get up every morning and you make a decision to pursue it. It matter what it is. It doesn't make any difference. I don't know if you're still there, Karin, but your picture's frozen. Are you still there? No.
No,
Just me and you, Walter. Me, you, and your new haircut. Boy, I better never get a haircut because I'm going to hear about it all day.
Yeah, I know. That's right, Lee.
Karin, hopefully you come back. Although, what's nice is it froze at a perfect time. It's actually a good picture of her.
That's right.
So
she's just a good listener, Lee.
Soon here, so I thought I would just kind of go back into the book here a little bit. And at the very end, it's kind of almost the last page, or second last page. And he talks about here, those who reach decisions promptly and definitely know what they want and generally get it. The leaders in every walk of life decide quickly and firmly. That is the major reason why they are leaders. The world has the habit of making room for the man who, or women, I would imagine, whose words and actions show that he or she knows where they're going. Right? Well, we lost her altogether, didn't we?
Yeah, she dropped.
Now, it goes on to say here, indecision is a habit which usually begins in youth. The habit takes on permanency as the youth goes through grade schools, high schools, and I think she's back. Okay, and through college, without definite purpose. Now, the major weakness of all educational systems is that they neither teach nor encourage the habit of definite decisions. That we've talked about the education system. Like, I think we even talked about how it's an employee factory in a lot of cases. They don't teach us this kind of stuff. They don't teach you to make decisions. Like your decision has to be get out of bed and come to school and go home when we tell you. There's no deciding involved, right? There's no leadership in it. So this is something I think that, as parents, we probably need to be teaching our children to make decisions. They do until we send them to school, and then the teacher tells them to stop doing that, stop daydreaming, quit thinking about that, and just pay attention to whatever we're telling you. Yeah. Right. And that's, again, it's our conditioning. We lose those abilities. Like we're given these gifts as when we're born. Like you mentioned, Walter, that we're perfect. Well, we have the ability to do anything and everything we can ever imagine right from day one. It's just that conditioning that's causing us to doubt. And when it comes to making decisions, like we've already said, is that first decision, that's you're pure having a thought with this universe that you're a part of, this guiding you. And then all of a sudden your subconscious mind, your conditioning comes along and says, well, we need to worry about this. Right? We need to worry about that. So, as we move forward, it's important to understand that you got to make decisions on whatever it is you want and have the courage to make the decision. It can be really scary. I know, I've been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I tell my kids, and I'm a programmer, so I have a lot of programming buddies, and it's analysis paralysis. Like programmers, by definition, we have to know every step along the way, and if you don't, oh my God! So I have to know every single thing, exactly when it's going to happen. If one area is, so you just get into this analysis paralysis. You start making up excuses. Oh, that piece has to be, when I flush that part out, then I'll do this one, and you end up doing nothing. So you need to know just enough to take the next step. There is no wrong decision, because the worst that can happen is something unexpected happens. You just learn how not to do something. So learn from that, take the next decision. Okay, great. You learn from that, meet somebody new, take the next one. There is no really wrong decision if it's coming from a place of growth, passion. There's no way.
Yeah, you're going to make decisions based on what you're in love with.
Right.
And the sad part is people make decisions because don't realize it, but they're actually in love with the fact that they can't pay their bills.
They're just
It's a
comfortable.
conditioning, right?
You get used to it. That's it. It's just a comfortable place to be.
Program.
Yeah.
So we should be wrapping up. Final thoughts there, Karen? Let's hear some more Austrian accent. I do like hearing her talk.
More Austrian accent.
We lost you there. I had to only look at Walter. That's just not right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. The connection broke up. But I'm back again. I make the decision to come back.
That was a good decision. That was an excellent decision. So we all benefited from your decision.
So yeah, my last word is for today. So it's a wonderful feeling if you make a decision, and if you make the decision from the heart and not from the mind. So don't think about it. Just do whatever you feel in your heart is good for you, and what you are really burning for. So that's the right thing. When you feel it in your heart, then you can hold it in your hands.
Yeah. Good thoughts. Walter, as we close off, final thoughts?
Yeah, make decisions confidently. You are perfect. You are amazing just as you are. Just believe in yourself. Believe it. Do it.
Well, I agree with everybody here, and I hope you make the decision to come back and see us again next week and maybe join our roundtable on Wednesday. So again, if you want to be part of the Mastermind Roundtable, it's not live. It's a closed group, and you just have to register for it, and we'll send you the link to the call on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern. So hopefully you'll join the roundtable. I think even Napoleon Hill would suggest that you join our roundtable. So anyways, whoever's been joining us, thanks. And there's a bunch of people saying hello to you again there, Karen. She's very popular. And she even decided to leave us and come back, and they're still here. They're still here. They decided to stick around just because they knew Karen was coming back.
That's the high vibration.
That's it, right? So we're going to make a decision that it's time for us to leave. And again, hopefully we'll see you again next week. And thanks to both of you for being here. This was fantastic, as usual.
Thank you, Lee.
Good session. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Walter. Bye.